get started, I'm gonna have us start in child's pose today, like we've been doing. So if you have a child's pose variation, and I'm gonna mute you all right now just so it doesn't interfere, but if you ever have questions, you can unmute yourself and you know, come back on. So that's not an issue. So if you wanna go a little bit deeper, then wide knee child's pose is a great option. So you just take your knees wider than those hips, bring the big toes to touch behind you, and we'll get our low back and hips stretched out right from the beginning here. Now, if you want to add the shoulder element here as well, we will spread those fingers nice and wide and come into more of an active child's pose. Our hands can be broader than our shoulders. And as we extend those fingertips towards the front of the mat, I'm still drawing my hips back and down. And then I'm really gonna sink the heart and the head towards the ground. And I wanna keep that extension through the fingertips so that my elbows are floating there. And then as the heart sinks, you'll feel this through the front of the chest and maybe slightly around the shoulders. Remember though, if the head is not grounded, use your arms or a prop underneath the forehead. We do want our forehead to be supported in child's pose. One, it just helps the body relax a little bit more quickly and it doesn't strain the neck. If it's not comfortable for those knees to drop to your heels, you'll keep your hips higher up or slide your big pillow or a folded blanket behind you to give yourself a little lift and some support. So as usual, we'll start our class this evening with just checking in. So let's start to just feel and notice the physical body this evening. All the areas that feel happy and ready for our practice tonight, and equally honoring any areas that might be a little tender and need a little extra TLC tonight. We're also letting go of any unnecessary tension or tightness we might find. Allow those exhales to start relaxing the muscles, especially around the face. If you are comfortably resting on your forehead, give it a little rock side to side, massaging the forehead on the ground. Feel that nice stretch across the low back, relax the back muscles, in and around those hips and the hip sockets. And we'll continue to let the weight of our body sink towards the ground tonight as we now spread our awareness to the rhythm of our breath. As we begin, we just watch the body breathe. So observing the breath as we inhale and observing and watching the breath as we exhale. Breathing as smoothly and evenly in and out through the nose as possible. Noticing on the inhale, the body naturally expands. We might feel the breath a little bit more differently in child's pose, so maybe a little bit more around the back. Just breathing in as much fresh air and energy as we can. And the exhale, just as important to clean everything out. So on those exhales, really try to push the old stale air and energy out of the body. Let's all take 2 more cycles of breath. As we do so, just notice any sensations, feelings, or thoughts floating around. Remembering anytime the mind becomes distracted, we just bring it back to the breath. We bring it back within the 4 corners of our yoga mat. On our next inhale, start to float the head up and bring the body up. And we'll go right into tabletop position. So stack the joints, but the muscles are still strong to support you. Fingers are still wide. Hands are as broad as those shoulders. Hips are floating right underneath the knees. Go ahead and tuck both toes under here. Draw the low belly in just to support the back. Remember to be mindful of where your head is in space. Keep your neck long. Now keep those hips nice and level and just give your right foot a stretch back behind you, pressing the heel towards the ground. Getting that blood flowing behind the knee. Breathe it in. Exhale, bring the right knee down. Hips stay level, both feet tucked under to stretch those feet, but stretch your left foot further back to the back of your mat. Single leg stretch, shifting your weight back. Your weight should be equal in both hands. Deep breath in. Exhale, brings the knee down. One more time, extend the right foot back behind. This time we'll add our runner's plank. So I'm gonna press into the ground. Without lifting the hips up, I'm trying to use my muscles to pull the left knee and foot possibly from the floor. And I'll feel this strengthening in my upper half of the body, but I'm really pulling in through the abdominals as well. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, both knees come down tabletop. Again, not a big shift in your hips. This should be solid. Stretch that left leg back. Press into the earth. Without lifting your hips up, try to use your muscles to pull the knee away from the floor. So left leg is extended, right knee and possibly foot up. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, both knees down, tabletop. Remember your variations in the hands when your wrists want to take a break. These are alternative ways to also strengthen the hands and the forearms. So rounding through the knuckles and placing your fingertips into the ground, or a strong punching fist and pressing those into the ground. With our breath, a few rounds of cat-cow. The inhale will relax the belly, lifting and lengthening from the tip of the tailbone to the crown of the head. The exhale is going to draw the abdomen in, scoop the tail and the head under, and round the back up to the ceiling. Inhale, gentle back bend, extension for the spine. Great way to counter our sitting. The exhale and the rounding, a great way to stretch out the muscles of the back, so that helps release any tension through the back. Go ahead and flow through one more of each. We'll come back to neutral position here. And from here, we'll give our shoulders a stretch right from the get-go too. So thread the needle pose, adjust your feet however you like, flat or tucked. We'll start with the right arm. So on the inhale, float the arm out and up, opening the chest. On this exhale, we're gonna thread the needle. So you take the right hand behind the left wrist, palm is up, draw it over to your left and slowly come down onto your right shoulder and the right ear. If the right ear doesn't easily touch the ground, grab one of your cushions, your pillows, or your bath towel and place it underneath the right ear. Now that's a pretty big stretch. If that's not comfortable for some of us, sit back on your heels and just bring the straight right arm across your chest, and you can pull it towards you and you'll still get that stretch. But we will hold for a few breaths. I'll go over our variations and thread the needle pose, and you pick and choose. So first variation is to take the left hand and walk it off the top of the yoga mat. Second variation is to wrap the left arm into a half bind around the low back, maybe getting those fingers tucked into the right hip crease. The balancing variation, again, just as a warning, it's really easy to fall out of this pose, so you need to make sure you're safe or accepting of that. You take the left foot and you kickstand it off the long edge of your yoga mat, and then you slide the foot out so that it's straight out at an angle. And the left arm reaches straight up to the ceiling, the palm faces forward. Now that will put a little bit more pressure on that shoulder and the neck, so just be mindful. Remember to practice ahimsa or nonviolence to ourselves and our bodies as well as each other. Deep breath in. Your next exhale got to bring you all the way back to where we started. So the left hand comes back down to the floor in front of the face, left knee comes back down. Your left arm does all the work, so push through that hand, look down, and carefully float your right arm out and up. Exhale, bring yourself back to tabletop. Take a round of your cat and your cow to neutralize the spine. And then come back to that neutral spine. So other side, inhale, left arm out and up. Exhale, thread it behind the right wrist. You're coming all the way down into that left shoulder and left ear. From there, like I said, if you're modifying, just switch arms. Left arm hugs right in front of the chest, stretching out the outside of that shoulder. Those of us on the ground, take the right hand forward, dropping the right shoulder down a little bit more. Try half binding the right arm around the low back Fingertips can tuck into that hip crease. Or being a little playful of that balance, we step the right foot out at an angle and then straighten the leg out at an angle. The right arm reaches up to the ceiling, palm faces forward. Couple more breaths. One more big breath in. This exhale will bring the right hand back down, right where it started in front of the face. Drop the right knee back down and press through that right arm. Push through the floor to slide the left arm out and up. Exhale, tabletop. Take a cat and a cow. And then from here, let's walk those hands one hand distance forward on our mat so the arms are more at an angle. Tuck the toes under, feel a little scooping action of the tailbone. We're gonna start with a little bit of a low flow here. So on the inhale, we bring it forward into our kneeling plank. I'm not collapsing or sinking, press the earth away from you. On the exhale, we'll take a bow. So I'm gonna drop my hips back to my heels. The head doesn't need to touch. Float your wrists up if your wrists are tender and come into Hasta Bandha just to give your wrists a quick break. Inhale brings you forward into kneeling plank. Crown of the head is extending forward. The exhale drops you into your bow. Pop your palms up, fingertips to the floor, only to stretch up your wrists. Inhale, kneeling plank. We're gonna add our tricep push-up. So really strong core. Bend your elbows into your ribs. You can try to hover parallel to the floor. Inhale, straighten your arms. Exhale, take a bow, pop the palms. Again, inhale forward. Super strong core, head stays in line with the spine. You'll feel this in the backs of the upper arms. Inhale, press up. Now you can stay here or take your bow. If you're choosing to stay here, we'll do a couple more. If you bowed back, you'll just catch up with your inhale forward, your exhale into a half chaturanga here, and your inhale to press up, and your bow back. If you're with me, we're doing a couple more. Oh, push through it. The next time you come forward into your kneeling plank, if you've been to bowing back, we'll all come down onto our bellies tonight. So arrange yourself if needed on your mats. Nice strong chaturanga, as slow as you can go. And then we'll lower down to the hips. Place your palms right underneath your shoulders. Flatten out the tops of the feet. Keep your feet wide if you take care of your low back. Squeeze your shoulder blades on your back. Chin is to the ground. On the inhale, float the chest. Bhujangasana Cobra pose. Upper back, mid back, low back, and even the glutes are working here a little bit. Let's try floating our hands up tonight. So we think about the core. We often just think about the front of our body. But we have pillars that run up the back of our body. They're just as important for a nice, healthy core. So keep breathing here. Try to extend your arms back into locust arms. The palms are down. You're reaching towards your heels. Half locust with the straight leg. You squeeze one glute to try to lift it up using that low back. Exhale down. Inhale, other leg lifts. Exhale down. Repeat with your single legs one more time to each side, or Purna Shalabhasana. Inhale, breathe, breathe, breathe. Try to lift everything up. Eventually just resting on the low belly and those hip bones. Keep squeezing the whole back. Feel how strong we are. One more deep breath in. On the exhale, we'll flop down to Prana Shavasana. So the arms flop down beside you, palms up. Turn your toes in, let the heels fall open, and turn your head to one side and just relax. Option to place your arms or hands underneath your forehead or the ear. Take a big belly breath and just notice the effects of the pose on the body and the breath. Should feel energizing. And then hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, scoop that tailbone under. We're gonna try to use that strong upper body to push back up to kneeling plank or lift your knees in your full plank. So your options are to be in tabletop again and just take some baby cat-cows here. And then when you're ready, walk hands forward, tuck tail and toes, and float up and back into our first downward facing dog. So your choice. If you're ready to move into our gentle inversion and down dog, Pedal your heels a couple times to get back into those legs. Stretching out the whole back of each leg, one at a time. Weight the hands equally, root through the mound of the index finger and thumb. Externally rotate those upper arm bones away from the ears. Keep the neck nice and long. Scoop out that lower belly, drawing the belly towards the thighs and the thighs towards the back of the mat. Take one more breath in your resting pose, whatever that looks like for you. Next inhale looks forward, walking feet to hands and hands to feet. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Modify by bending your knees and place your elbows or your hands on your thighs if it's a little much for the low back tonight. Otherwise, try to fold yourself in half, straightening the legs, dangling the arms and the head, or grab a hold of opposite elbows if you'd like to ragdoll tonight. We're still hollowing out that low belly, nice strong legs, pick up your toes, keep your feet nice and active. But do try to let the weight of the shoulders, the head, and the world just melt off of your body tonight. Little back strengthening here with our halfway lifts. Hands to shins or higher. Inhale, float the chest. Now squeeze your upper back. Pretend like you're trying to kiss your shoulder blades together here. And then on the exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, squeeze. Exhale, fold. We want to go a little bit stronger. Inhale, halfway lift, locust arms beside the torso, palms face each other. You should feel this in the upper back and those upper back of your upper arm bones, the triceps. Exhale, fold. One more. Big inhale, lift, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. This exhale will sit us back into Utkatasana, fierce pose, reaching our arms upwards. So start with that foundation. Make sure it's nice and strong. Feet are parallel to each other, hip sockets apart. I am pulling into that low belly. You can start thinking about your lower locks. So Mula Bandha are the pelvic floor muscles lifting and squeezing. Uddiyana Bandha, lower abdominal muscles. Relax the head on the shoulders, shrug shoulders from ears. Option to modify hands to heart. Getting right into a little bit of balance work here. Focus your gaze. On the inhale, try to float your right foot from the floor. Bring it down, breathe the other foot up and hover. Bring that foot down, let's try to sink a little bit lower back and down. And then on our next inhale, extended mountain. We're gonna straighten up through the whole body, reach up towards the ceiling, a little bit of extension. Turn those palms out. Exhale, float your arms down into Tadasana. So the arms are floating a little bit away from the upper body. I'm extending my fingertips away from my shoulders. We want to unlock those knees. The legs are straight, but they're strong instead of collapsing back. You can always pick up your toes, driving down through the mound of the big toe inner heel, mound of the pinky toe and outer heel. Again, the lower locks, pelvic floor muscles, the perineum squeezing, lifting, just below the navel, in and up, head light. Next inhale, re-extend your arms out to the sides and up. This time bring the palms to touch and exhale the hands to heart. A few times in our palm tree pose. Inhale, reach up, heels lift up. Again, challenging our balance a little bit here. Exhale down. Two more with the breath. Building up strength in the lower legs, the ankles and the feet. One more, see how high up you can get. Big reach, reach, reach. And then exhale. All right, so let's move into some of our bigger poses. The two main ones we've been doing this month are Prasarita Pada Tadasana, where we'll start. That's gonna be our big standing straddle pose, and then Trikonasana, triangle pose, maybe Parshvottanasana if we have time. So this is where you'll probably have to move yourself around in your space, roll, open up at our wide neutral position, so you have to turn sideways on your mat. And then you'll take props out in front of you, shoulder width apart. I'm gonna start with my chair for my tight legs and hips. And then you'll just have yourself set there. And in our neutral position, when we take our nice big step out, maybe the ankles are as wide as the wrists, don't overdo it. Start with your feet parallel to each other. So we have a tendency to want to turn our toes out here, turn them so they're straight forward. Arms extend straight up from the shoulders. And then bring the hands onto those hips. So you're grabbing hold of your whole pelvic bowl. This is where the movement comes from. There's no rounding down and diving into this pose. It's a hinge at the hips. Turn your toes in slightly. Get a little bit of that internal rotation in those thigh bones. Lead with the heart without hyperextending the low back. So even though I don't want to hyperextend and thrust, I want to pull those lower ribs in, but I guide with the heart, so I'm not pulling my front body in. Nice strong quads, pick up your toes, come about halfway and pause there. Inhale, create more length through the front of the spine. And then on your exhale, maybe we move into that space. So we'll all be in a little different position probably depending on our body. You want to continue to lengthen the front of the spine, internal rotation in those thigh bones. The feet should be equally weighted, mound of the big toe inner heel, mound of the pinky toe outer heel. If you're finding that you have space to move into and your fingertips come down to your props of the ground, that's fine. Keep your hands shoulder width apart. Try to only rest on your fingertips so you don't distribute the weight too much into the hands. For some of us, this will turn into an inversion, so as you contract the abdominal muscles even more and the head lowers more towards the ground, either keep your drishti underneath the tip of the nose, hands can walk between the feet, or the head can drop, as long as you continue to draw your shoulders away from your ears. Couple more breaths. Feeling this up the backs of the legs and inner thighs for some of us. On the inhale, we find our halfway lift. So either walk your hands forward if you went further into it, find your props, lift the chest up, regulating our blood pressure and making sure we're bringing our strength back into the legs and the core. Exhale, one hand at a time to your hips. And then inhale, come up out of your pose. Big breath in. Try to inhale even more, reach your arms out and overhead. Remember, if you ever get lightheaded, just sit down to the ground. Exhale, hands to heart. From here, we'll re-extend our arms out nice and wide in neutral position. Point your toes straight back forward. Now, if you are going to use a prop to either side of Trikonasana, we'll start with our right side, so you can move a prop over to your right side and then come back to your neutral position. So feet are parallel, arms are strong, head is floating. Pick up the right toes, turn them to point towards the front of the mat. Externally rotate that right thigh bone. Simultaneously try to keep your torso and chest facing open. We'll tip at the pelvis, so I'm drawing in that right hip, but I'm lengthening both side bodies equally. Inhale, extend over those toes, and then exhale my arms into triangle pose. Now, when supported, keeps that core engaged, so it's a little bit safer if you have low back issues again, because if we tend to go too far down, it can strain the back to come up. And again, we also tend to put some of our weight in our arm and we lose that structure of the core. Totally up to you and your body. It's your practice. You know your body better than anybody else. Unlock that right knee so it's not collapsing. Same thing in the left. Now the drishti can be down, forward, or even up. Just keep the neck long and line with the spine. One more breath. The next inhale is what pulls us up. So really strong legs and core. Inhale, reach up to the ceiling to bring yourself out of the pose. Turn your right toes forward, neutral position. Left toes up, move props if you need to. Turn your left toes out. The knee is following the toes, the thigh is opening, but we're trying to keep our torso open. So you have really tight hips like me, my hips are more 45. They're not gonna open, because if I do, it torques my knee. So I gotta protect the knee first. Draw that left hip crease in, lengthen the left side body. Inhale, reaching over those toes.
keep the structure strong as you exhale to windmill the arms. Ideally trying to go into the same, symmetry or same depth on this side as we did our first side. If it's not possible, we need to make a mental note of that and adjust our practice accordingly. Adjust the drishti, whichever feels best for the neck. Keep both feet equally weighted. One more breath. Again, strong legs, strong core. The inhale reaches you up to the ceiling. You're sliding up that invisible wall. Turn the left toes forward. Exhale, drop those arms. Swing them around a little bit, roll your shoulders, release the head, the neck. All right, let's see how we're doing. Let's heel toe, step, step, step our feet together. So let's get into more hip stuff on the ground today. We'll do one more standing balancing pose and then we'll make our transition. So you can clear your space of any props for the moment, for the time being. Find a safe space. And we'll do our hip opener in our balance pose. We've been practicing Vrikshasana or tree pose. This time we want to draw the insides of the feet and legs to touch, compact the hips, draw in front body to back body, but keep the heart open and the head floating. Take a nice deep breath to center, reaching out and up. Exhale, hands to heart. Find your focus. Float the left heel from the floor. At the hip, point the knee open. So you're pulling up from the outer knee to outer hip. Standing leg is driving down through the ground. Heart is lifting into the hands. Find your variation with the leg, foot down to the inside of the lower leg or upper thigh, not at the knee. And remember what you do on the other side. You haven't gotten there yet, but if you know on your next side you can only go so far, you, and some schools of thought, should do the same on this side. Finding a little bit of stillness here. If you want to add that chest expansion, I think we did this on Sunday. Try to reach your arms around behind you. Interweave all 10 fingers. Draw your knuckles down towards the ground. Opening up the front of the chest and those shoulders. Head is still floating. Observe the body, the breath, and the brain. One more breath. If you have the grip, inhale those arms up. Exhale back to Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Point the knee forward, lift the thigh up without leaning back. Try to use those strong muscles to point the foot forward for 3, 2, 1. Samastitihi, standing stillness pose. So you come back to this position. You try not to make any unnecessary movements. Your drishti should be just as focused. Other side, left heel up. At the hip, point the knee out. Again, trying to find symmetry here, placing this foot in the exact same spot as you did on your first side. Staying there, choosing another variation or taking that chest expansion again, trying to reach behind, interweave all 10 fingers, drawing the knuckles down to the ground as the heart in front of the shoulders open. If we have the grip on our next inhale, we'll release, reach the arms up. Exhale, Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Point the knee forward, lift the thigh up. Again, try to stand tall. Strong muscles, lift the foot out and up for 3, 2, 1. Samastitihi, standing stillness. Blink your eyes and close your eyes for a moment in this pose. Sometimes called swaying tree pose. When you close your eyes, you feel a little dizzy and the body starts to move around. That's normal and natural. Your brain's trying to figure out where it is in space. It is a really beneficial exercise for the brain and also can help improve our balance in general. Inhale, flutter those eyes back open, and exhale, relax. So we'll make a transition now back down through forward fold, down dog, and into Kapotanasana or pigeon pose. That's prone pigeon. It can be a little challenging for some people's knees. So the alternative, if you don't want to do pigeon with the weight on your knees, you'll just sit down on the ground, lie on your back, and you'll take figure 4 pose, actively flexing the right foot, crossing the right ankle on the left thigh, opening the hip here. Draw the left thigh in if you want more, wrapping your hands behind the left thigh and extending the left foot up. Or trying to take a hold of the left shin bone, drawing the left knee towards the left shoulder, stretching out the right hip. And you'll stay there, and you'll do your other side when we switch. When you come out, you can just uncross and rock your knee side to side. Those of us up and standing, come back towards the front of your mat in Tadasana. Stand nice and tall here. Feel the crown of the head extending upwards, front body to back body, lengthening the upper buttocks down, unlocking those knees, straight, strong legs, nice, relaxed head and face. The inhale reaches those arms out and up. Big, tall, long stretch, gazing up for a little back bend. On the exhale, micro bend those knees, hinge at the hips, and swan dive yourself back down to your forward fold, whatever that looks like for you. Relax the head, sway the shoulders, prance the legs, trying to straighten one leg out at a time, gently bending the opposite knee if you want to go deeper into the backs of those legs. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands. Big step back to downward facing dog, those of us moving through here. Again, pedal your heels if you want to stretch out the backs of those legs a little bit more. And then sink both heels towards the ground. Inhale, right leg floats up. On the exhale, we pull the right knee forward, moving through plank. You turn the right knee out about 20 degrees behind the right wrist. My right foot's pretty active, so it's flexing. And then I'm going to inch my left foot and knee slightly back to create a little bit more space for my hips to come down. Some of you might be able to draw your right shin bone more forward, not for people like me. Put a support under your right hip if needed. From there, you want the low back and both hips to sink equally towards the ground. You can relax the top of left foot towards the ground. It might be handy to have a pillow, a prop ready for you to rest your head on. If there's space to move into on your exhale, you might draw down to your forearms or all the way down to the belly, the heart, and the head again. Some people like to walk their hands forward off the top of the mat. We should be feeling this in the outer right hip. So this pose stretches those deep rotators and the piriformis here. Remember to relax the face, so if you tense up through the jaw, poof your cheeks with air, just follow a nice exhale. And we'll hold for a little while longer. One more breath in our pose, one more chance to let it go. Now, if you're in prone pigeon, you'll float the head up, use your elbows and your hands, take your time to bring the upper body back up.
Tuck your back toes under, inch that leg a little bit closer to you. It's important that we bring all our body weight off of that right leg before we try to move it. So you want to press down, cover the back knee, your front knee, and from there, stretch it up. If you happen to be on your back, again, just windshield wiper your knees side to side or hug your knees to your chest to neutralize. Down dog, people. Whatever it takes to get the blood rushing back through that right leg. Roll the hip around, walk it out. Other side, inhale the left leg up. Exhale, pull the knee forward, angle it out about 20 degrees behind the left wrist. Left foot is active. Take your back leg, try to maybe inch it slightly back so you have space to lower the hips. Relax the foot. Place a prop under that outer hip if you want. Same thing, I'm still trying to keep length in the spine. If I'm gonna come down, I don't wanna tuck and round. I wanna extend through the belly, the heart, possibly the head. Let the weight equally sink through those hips. And then in gravity, stretch out those deep, deep muscles. Sometimes a little movement side to side or shifting your weight slightly forward or back can change the degree of the stretch. So you have a little bit of wiggle room to move around in there. You just don't want to compromise too much the low back and the SI joints. So they shouldn't really translate to the low back at all. So we'll hold a little while longer, just breathe. One more breath. And the next inhale will float the head up. If you've gone further down, again, take your time. Use the strength in your arms. Tuck the back toes under, inch yourself forward, press into the ground so you take weight off of the knees, and then you can step it back. And you can stir the pot, roll the thigh bone around, walk those heels out. So if you are on your back, you'll want to join us here for a moment for a little bit of our plank work. Flip yourself around and come back to down dog. And then from down dog, we will move forward into plank pose. So we want to lengthen our stance and then shift our shoulders back over our wrists, bringing the body parallel to the floor. Now kneeling plank is totally fine. Just make sure you're not collapsing the hips. You got to really pull the low belly in. And if this is too much on your wrist, come down to your forearms and weave all 10 fingers, and you're welcome to be in forearm plank. And let's do our 30 seconds starting now. So choose your flavor. And you're breathing, pressing into the earth, keeping the neck nice and long. Compact those hips, squeeze those legs. Those of you that want to have a little fun during these 30 seconds, try to lift your right leg up from the floor a few inches. Bring it down, squeeze and lift that left leg up. Bring it down. Right arm reaches forward. Bring it down. Left arm reaches forward and down. I lost track of time. Take a big breath in and exhale. Tabletop, down dog, or even child's pose, whatever you need to take a breath and to take a break. If you're upside down and down dog, inhale, lift those heels up. Exhale, we're going to drop our knees back down and revisit Balasana. Traditional child's pose keeps the knees touching. Hands come back to your feet, palms up. This will help release your wrists. Allow the
head towards the ground, you might meet more on the hairline there. And then just let the arm weight flop down beside the thighs. One more breath here. Again, just noticing how the body feels after energizing planks. If your heart rate went up a little bit, totally normal. And then hands under shoulders, tuck the chin, round it on up, one vertebra at a time. And then we are going to shift our weight over to either hip and bring our feet out in front of us. And then we'll transition in our seat there. I have a little friend I'm trying to shoo away. Okay, sorry about that. He kept crawling on my mat and I just didn't want to lay down and have my little friend crawl on me. But he's fine now. All right, so our feet out in front of us. Let's take one seated pose here, Baddha Konasana. So add a little prop to create a wedge underneath the sit bones if that helps keep your spine in neutral. So again, I have my meditation cushion, but you could use a pillow, a cushion, a nice firmly folded blanket or towel. We want to find the front of our sit bones, the soles of the feet come to touch. So if you bring your hands down beside you and you literally lift yourself up and tilt your pelvis forward from there, you can really get on the front of those sit bones. So that will already initiate that movement in the hips. And then the spine should be long and tall. Reaching for the feet and ankles, some of us might be more upright and that's totally fine. We'll just draw those thigh bones into the hip sockets and allow gravity to stretch out the inner hips and thighs. Or again, you can extend and lead with the chest, hinging from the hips to go a little further. Again, don't overdo it for any low backs here. Just be careful with that. If you happen to have the space in front of you to go further towards the ground, by all means, you're welcome to do so. You will walk your hands forward, maybe have a prop waiting for you. And we'll take a couple breaths here. Baddha Konasana, down, angle pose. One more breath. On the inhale, take your time to come up. Use your hands. You want to restack the spine, vertebra by vertebra, sit up tall to the crown of the head. Take a hold of your knees. Step your feet out wider than your hips. Weight leans back onto your hands. And then rock your knees side to side to loosen up those hips. All right, now it's time to come on to our back. Do have your strap, your scarf, whatever you're going to use for Supta Pada Uttanasana nearby. We're not quite there yet. We're going to do a little bit more abdominal work before we enjoy our nice big stretch at the end, but just so you don't have to go hunting for it later. You can have it ready. We want to arrange ourselves so that we have some space behind us. Safest way to come down is to walk yourself down to one side and then roll on your back. A little bit more toning and strengthening. We'll do our slow roll down. So I'll plant the soles of my feet. Let my knees open a little wider than my hips. Reach my arms forward. Now this is a rounding of the spine. I do want you to hollow out the front body because we're trying to roll and articulate down through the spine. So I'm really scooping into those abdominals, reaching forward. And I'm going to start to lower down to my lower flat back, the sacrum. And then into that lower lumbar curve. And then into the mid-thoracic spine, the shoulders, eventually the back of the head. When the head touches down, reach the arms overhead and stretch your legs straight out on your mat in our long body stretch. And you can spread your toes, spread your fingers, create space side to side, and feel the front body open and stretch through the rib cage and the abdomen here. Big breath in. On this exhale, bring the arms down, walk your shoulder blades under, walk your feet in. Let's hug those knees in and just rock out our low back here. So we're gonna do some of our yogi sit-ups or single leg lifts. This helps tone those deeper lower abdominal muscles. So that's a structure that's really healthy to help support our backs. I'll give us some modifications as we go through these. From here, take a hold of behind your thighs and extend both legs up into waterfall pose. Point and flex the feet a couple times. And then we bring the arms down beside us, palms down. If you want to make a little well for the low back, you slide your hands underneath the lower buttock, not under the low back, the lower buttock. And that will create a little space for your low back to sink back down into the ground. Low back should be touching the ground. We don't want our back hyperextending off of the ground. You try to straighten your legs up, use your muscles to point to the toes. We'll start with singles. So on the inhale, you lower your right leg away from you. To whatever degree you can maintain a neutral spine. It might be in just a couple of inches. It might be a hover to the floor. Exhale, very slowly pull the leg back up to vertical. The other side, inhale, lowers the left leg. Same degree as the first side if you can. Very slowly pull the leg back up. Try not to swing the legs. We don't want to use momentum. We want to use the strength of our muscles. But do follow your breath. So the leg should be lowering on the inhale and an equal amount of time on the exhale to lift. And you're drawing a smooth, precise line up and down with the big toe of each foot. Now to modify, bend your knees to 90. Keep that angle at the knees. You move from the hip and you just drop to touch one toe. Exhale, pull it up, and then you drop to the other toe. So that's your modification. Let's all do one more to each side. Smile. Make sure you're not using the jaw to do the work. It wants to try to do the work. It doesn't help. After your left side, we'll take a quick break. Hug your knees in, relax the belly. So we'll do one more round. Stay where you are, or we'll turn it up a degree here. And we'll do double yogi sit-ups or double leg lifts. So you'll re-extend the legs. You'll glue both the legs together. Again, the inhale lowers the legs away from you. Maybe you don't go as far because this is a longer lever and a heavier weight for your low back. And the exhale slowly pulls you up. Little smile on the face to take the jaw out of the equation. If you start to feel a little burn in the belly, that's good. Use your breath. So we'll do two more, one more to each side or two more doubles. After your last one, same thing, hug your knees in, rock it out. Drop those feet to the floor. Go ahead and take a hold of your strap. We'll do our variation here, and we'll hold each variation for just a couple of breaths to give those hips a last stretch, and also we'll do our twist in this pose tonight. So we'll take the strap near the lower arch towards the heel. Hold the strap in both hands so the heart can stay open. Shoulders should be relaxed. Loop the strap around the hands if you want the hands to do a little less work. Get that leg straight, so it might need to angle away from you slightly. To deepen the stretch, extend your left heel forward to the front of your mat. Anchor the left leg to the ground. So first, we're just trying to stretch out the back of the right leg, so the hamstrings. Take a hold of that strap in the right hand. Place your left hand on the left hip. Keep your left side grounded. The low back needs to stay flat to the floor. Bend your right elbow out. Get the thigh to move up and out at an angle, so you might bend your right knee first. And then you'll allow the right leg to open to the right. And it will not touch the ground. Keep tension on the belt. The more you glue your left side down, the more you'll be able to intensify that stretch. Inner thigh growing across the front of the pelvis here. Left arm reaches out from the shoulder, head turns to the left for a counter twist in the neck. Take a couple deep breaths. The inhale lifts the head, help that leg back up. Take a hold of the strap in the left hand. Keep your right hip down, low back flat to get into the outer IT band here. Leg is straight, but it's angling over my midline a few degrees. You'll move that leg around in space until you kind of get to that sweet spot where you really feel all that wonderful tightness. And if you don't feel it, hooray for you. If you do feel it, massage those muscles, make your fist, punch into them. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Now taking this into our twist, you'll let the leg again come over to the left. Use your left elbow as a kickstand. The right hip will peel up from the floor. Again, the leg might not touch the ground. Sliding a prop underneath the leg can also help to support it. Continue to have tension on the strap. Hand is doing the work here. Right arm can reach out, head turns to the right for a counter twist. Right shoulder sinks into the ground. Even close the eyes at this point, slow the breathing down, and enjoy that nice deep twist, bringing everything out. On the inhale, head and leg come back up to center. Open the strap up. Slide your left foot in and reach the left foot up. Pause and waterfall pose, bringing our spine and body back into neutral position. So other side, drop the right foot to the ground. Situate the strap near the lower arch towards the heel. Find your hand grip. Heart should be open, shoulders pretty relaxed. Try to straighten the left leg as much as possible. Then from there, drawing it in towards the body to stretch out the hamstring. To deepen the stretch, slide your right heel forward to the front of your mat and anchor the right leg to the ground. Take a couple of breaths. Now hold on with just the left hand. Right hand anchors your right hip down. Use your right abdominals. Right side down, low back stays flat. Bend the left elbow. Try to get your left thigh bone up. So bend the knee if you need to. Open the thigh, and then from there re-extend. Keep tension on the belt. Stretch out the inner thigh growing muscle. Right arm can reach out, head can turn to the right. The inhale brings the head and the leg up. Hold with the right hand. Keep that left hip anchored, back flat to the floor. Angle the straight leg across the midline. Move around in that space, out and up there, until you can kind of find that sweet spot where you're really getting a nice stretch for those outer thigh muscles. Massage or punch into them. Taking it into the twist, elbows your anchor, tension on the strap, the left hip will peel away from the ground. Keep the left shoulder grounded, left arm reaches out, head turns to the left. Close the eyes and breathe deeply for a couple more moments here. Relax the face and the jaw and the throat. Let the hand do the work. And again, the inhale brings the head and the leg up, help it up. Open the strap, float the right foot up, pause, waterfall pose. Bend the knees, release the strap. Reach your arms up, cross one ankle over the other, wiggle your fingers out, and then just drop and flop your hands forward into dead bug pose. Just allow the weight of the thighs to sink towards the belly. Switch the cross of your ankles, take another breath. And just a little counter here before we go into our final relaxation. Let's lift it up into Setu Bandhasana or bridge pose to open up the front of those hips from that flexion that we just did, and that we will get all the movements in and around our hips tonight. So walk your shoulder blades under, parallel your feet, point your knees straight up towards the ceiling, directed towards the toes. Squeeze your backside, lift your hips up, bridge pose. So you're stretching the front of the thighs, the hip flexors. Walk the hands under into that chest expansion again. Walk the shoulder blades a little further under. Neck is curved up from the ground. Weights into the meaty part of the shoulders, not the neck. Strengthening for the backside, stretching out the front. And a gentle inversion, depending on how far you're going, as the chest and the heart gets a little higher than the head. Try to take a big belly breath in this stretch so the abdominal muscles can stretch out as well. One more breath in. The exhale slides the arms out, melts the back down to the ground. Rock your knees side to side. Go ahead and hug those knees in. Take a quick happy baby, let your knees fall open, rock side to side. And then we'll draw the knees and feet back together, wrap the arms across the shin bones, float the nose to the knees, give ourselves a nice big hug tonight. Filling ourselves up with a lot of gratitude and appreciation for showing up tonight. Breathe it in. And on the exhale, we get to let it go. So you're welcome to stay right where you are and just flop the body to the ground, or place your pillows underneath your thighs and legs, underneath the head. Gather up your eye coverings. Draw the shoulders down the back. Roll the arms open, palms up. Keeping the knees bent up and together, we'll take pressure out of the low back. Continuing with hip opening, Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet touch, knees open. This can feel quite nice with the support of a pillow underneath the legs. Or stretch those legs out in Shavasana, allowing the whole weight of the body to sink towards the ground. Legs can be nice and wide and the feet flop open here. So I'll give us all a moment to organize and get comfy. I'll guide us through a little bit of verbal relaxation. Then give us several moments of some peace and quiet. And then use my singing bowl to bring us out for class tonight.
So find the very back center of the skull. Poof the cheeks up with air, swallow a couple times, releasing the mouth, tongue, and jaw. The weight of the arms just flops to the ground, the fingertips curl up naturally. Soften all those little muscles across the face, the forehead, the brow, and the eyebrow center. With the lips softly touching, we release the lower jaw and tongue to gravity. Relax across the front of the body, the heart, the chest, the belly. Relax the abdominal muscles and all of the internal organs. Relax down the back, vertebra by vertebra, the back of the heart between the shoulder blades. The low back sinks into the ground. Relax the larger muscles of the hips and hip sockets. Relax the buttocks, the tops and backs of the thighs. Let the weight of the legs just flop into the ground, relaxing from the hips to the knees, knees to the ankles. Relax the feet, all of the toes and the soles of the feet. Relaxing the whole body. Soften and relax the inside of the body. The breath becomes easy, quiet, and calm. If the mind wanders, gently bring it back to the peaceful breath, giving ourselves just one more moment to let go, to feel a sense of surrender, and sink into Shavasana. slowly start to come back to the breath. And breathe life back into the body, waking up the toes, fingertips, rocking the head side to side, rolling the ankles and the wrists. Depending where we are with our props, the next inhale can straighten the legs back out and arms back overhead into our big, long body stretch, creating as much space as we possibly can from side to side and front to back. On the exhale, when you get there, float your arms down, walk the feet in, hug the knees into the body, massage out the back. Right arm falls beside the head. Let's roll on over to our right side, pausing for a moment in Supta Balasana, sleeping baby pose. Resting the head on the upper arm. Left hand falls to the floor in front of the heart. Try to keep the eyes soft or closed. Press into the ground to bring our body back up. Revisiting any comfortable seated pose. Sitting up on our sit bones and nice and tall to the crown of the head. We'll take just a couple more breaths together. Minding our surroundings, reach those arms out to the side, palms up. Another big breath in to float those arms all the way up to the ceiling and to gather up everything we need for the rest of our night. Turn those palms out. Exhale, even bigger breath out. Float the fingertips all the way back down to the floor and let go of all that other junk we don't need tonight. One more breath together. Inhale, arms up. Palms touch. Exhale, lower hands down to the heart. Humbly bow the head to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and being grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us all to stay connected and practice our yoga together on this beautiful evening. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace,